All right, from the studio in Fairfax City, we are very grateful that Sylvain Demercastel accepted our invitation to our show. Sylvain, welcome to my humble podcast.
Hi, everyone. I'm super happy to be here. And we speak a little bit Spanish before, but I think now we have to speak English, right?
Or some French.
Oh, bah, on peut parler français si tu veux.
All right. So, okay, let's go back to the beginning. How did you start in music to begin with?
Well, I've always, since I came back from school one day of 81 and a friend of mine put the AC/DC Back in Black album. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And kind of changed my life forever. And as far as I remember, then I always wanted to play music. I was playing a little bit of piano by then, but then I started saving money and asking my relative to help me to buy my first guitar. So that's how it started, thanks to Angus Young and his team.
Good for it. And then were you in any band when you were in high school, or?
Yeah, I did the classic story, starting a band and in high school, and then the band eventually does a few gigs and then splits, and then we start another band with more serious people until we reach the point where I meet with Dirk Verbeuren,
Correct, yeah.
We released an album. We actually did 2 albums with the band Art Sonic together and tour, and that was the beginning of the story as a more serious one.
Yeah, I like the shirt.
Dirk is very serious drummer.
Yeah, he's very. I will ask you some question about that as well. But the important thing, the reason we're talking today, that you haven't seen firsthand, actually, because you live in Costa Rica now, how deforestation is threatening Costa Rica rainforest. You mentioned 2 angry metalheads are banging their head together to protect the world ecosystem. So feel free to elaborate just the beginning, how the idea came together, and then what was the motivation to put this project together?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's not for Dirk and same for me. It's not a new thing. We've been always very involved and concerned about the environment, and recently, I mean, especially after COVID, it accelerates the situation in Costa Rica. Lots of investments, lots of speculation, and I was already doing reforestation programs here, but like small things, mostly around my place, trying to convince the neighbors and stuff like that. But then it became completely crazy, and then I don't know why I had the idea to call Dirk and tell him, man, how would you feel about starting a project, like seriously, like not just denouncing, not just trying to send money to here and there, but having the actual tool ourselves to do something on the field, and using your reach, because now he's playing in Megadeth, so he's very well connected, and he's a very respected musician, and also his personality, and he said, man, yeah, that's a great idea, and he said that it came at the right moment because he wanted actually to be more active, so that's how it started, and he found the name. He wanted to connect with the raw power and the savage spirit of the metal music. Sure. So yeah, it was pretty obvious to call the name Savage Lands, and that's how it started, and then it went pretty fast. He contacted a few artists, like Kiko Lorero supported us right away, and Andreas Kisser was also the first one wearing the t-shirt on stage and also playing one of the guitar we made out of a dead tree here in Costa Rica. And yeah, so we realized that the feedback was pretty cool, and it gave us the fuel, to keep going and try to make it something bigger and get more results, bring more people on board.
Okay, when was that? The first conversation that you had with her? How many years ago?
It was like 3 years ago.
Triggers, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, and you mentioned that, it isn't that, it was a piece of land here, a piece of land there, but it was more like on a daily basis. You were hearing chainsaws, cutting trees and cutting trees. You were driving around and cutting trees, so you knew
Yeah.
that something needed to be done about it, right?
When you talk to people, that everyone knows that there is a problem, but it's hard sometimes to know how to start, you know. And most of the time, people tell you, don't do this, don't do that, change your diet, don't take the plane, don't drive, blah, blah, blah. And we didn't want that, I think the best thing we can do is to try to reconnect people with the idea of nature and biodiversity. That's exactly what I feel when I'm here in Costa Rica. One of the best thing that can happen to me during the day is when I see the howler monkeys passing by in front of the trees that I planted in my garden, and that's a free of charge, it's just pure pleasure.
Absolutely.
And I think if you can bring people into having that kind of link, um, it's a better start than telling them to stop this or that or recycle, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I'm not saying that you don't have to do that, but we will go further if people have some link and some sentimental relation with nature. That's where the idea came from, and we thought that nobody is going to tell us, "Oh, fuck you! I love to destroy forests." I don't think
Of
we have
course.
so many enemies.
Sure, 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 sure. No, I understand. And then in 2002, with Dirk, you end up forming what is called a 501c3 nonprofit to preserve 100,000 square feet of forest in the high-risk areas in Costa Rica coastlines, which is an amazing idea. One is having an idea, right? Hey, I don't like deforestation, but it's another thing is do something about it, right? And not just talk about it, but implement something, and take it forward, right? So
Yeah, that's the idea. We're not trying to compete and have um, a race for numbers, telling people we planted millions of trees. It's more like we want to show example of what can be done if you put a little bit of energy in it.
yeah,
And the idea is to inspire people so maybe they can do the same, and maybe we can help them. Maybe they can use the name Savage Lands. That's our dream, to see people starting their own project, because that's the only way we can change the world if we're alone, So yeah, that was the idea. But also now we started in Costa Rica, of course, because it's easier for me. I live here, and the regulation helps get results. But now we opened the European branch for Savage Lands. We are gonna start projects in France, in Africa, and we are open to any suggestions. And we try to build a movement. If it can be worldwide, it's even better.
in the south of Chile, probably. We
Man,
could
I
just
want to go there. I know Chile a little bit. I know the central area, Pichilemu, and
yeah,
I definitely want to go see how it looks in the south.
absolutely, absolutely. And then when you decided to put this project together, do you receive any help from the government in Costa Rica to help you out to allow the passage of laws to move forward with that kind of stuff?
No, and you know what? So far, I'm not really, well, we could get help. We'd rather have partnerships with, like, we signed a deal with the Hellfest for the next 5 years. Um,
Mm.
I don't know, but we don't want to be perceived as some political thing, or
I got
it's
it.
the tool of a government that is using us to do promotion, blah, blah, blah. We want to stay independent. Maybe we're going to be smaller this way, but at least we're going to do true things, and I think it's important. And the only thing that is kind of related to the government is that in Costa Rica, there are some laws that you can use. For example, animals have rights. It's a constitutional right in Costa Rica. So you can use the actual law to defend your projects. Um, but yeah, our idea is not to be sponsored by official organizations. You know, we want to make handshakes and deals with people like Hellfest. You know, we met
Yeah.
with Ben and he said, oh, it's interesting what you're doing. I need to understand more. So we spent some time together and then he came to Costa Rica, you know, and we spent 10 days here. And then after those 10 days, he said, okay, now I understand and I want to be full on with you on this project. And we signed a 5 years collaboration deal, you know, and that's exactly what we want to do with other people. We want to make sure that people are with us for the good reasons, you know. Same for artists, you know. We don't care about a name dropping thing, you know. We want the artists that share the same idea and the same value and want to defend the project.
Absolutely. And as you were saying before, I think my understanding is 100% of the royalty from their first album, Army of the Trees, it is going to be put together to preserve this initiative, which is very good. Which is very good, you know.
It's actually, I think it's the first time that it is not a band that has been signed by a record label. It's the actual non-profit organization that signed a contract with the label. So that means that all the money generated by music goes directly to the non-profit. So that means, you know, someone wants to help but doesn't have money to give, doesn't have time to give. Just listening to the music and headbanging for us, headbanging for the forest, you know, it's already supporting us. So
Absolutely, yeah.
simple message, you know, put us on the playlist, share it with your friends, make it grow, and you'll see some results on the ground, you know, on the field of operations.
I got it. And then how many people are involved there? That you know, it's you guys will end up purchasing a land where in certain areas where the trees are planted. This is are the local people, the people from Costa Rica, doing a lot of the work, right, to plant the trees. And but I need to plant the trees, find the locations, and so forth, right?
Depends on what kind of project. We have two ways to act. Either we finance reforestation operations, and for that we work with other nonprofits that are specialized in some type of reforestation. We do that in France, we do that in Costa Rica. And the other way is to buy land and secure some preservation. You know, it can be what we call ecological easement.
Yeah.
Let's say you're the owner of a piece of land in Chile and you want to preserve part of your land. We can make a deal and we can help financing, and then you grant us a certain percentage of your land to be fully preserved by us and maybe other nonprofit. We can be many nonprofit to secure some land. That's called an ecological easement. And so, yeah, we work with a lot of people. Like this year, we created an alliance with two other nonprofits in Costa Rica, and together we reforested. In the last 3-4 months, we reforested like 12,000 trees, using a bit more like 1,000 volunteers.
Got it. Yeah, that's beautiful. My understanding is that you met Dirk in France, during the late 90s, right? On I think at the thrash metal band called Arsonic. Is that correct?
96.
96. Wow, almost 30 years now. Well, good for you, man. Good for you. Good for you.
I don't know if it's good. My back hurts in the morning.
Well, for all the headbanging and playing. Maybe you have neck problem or something. But
exactly. No, I handbang more with the shoulders than with the neck now.
with the neck now, I know exactly what you mean. But it's a beautiful thing. I mean, like you were saying, with the Green Alliance, Alianza Verde, it will be in Spanish.
Yeah.
Led to 12,000 trees being planted in the forested area, and over 1,200 volunteer, right? They're helping out. There are people, local folks for Costa Rica, right? So.
Yeah, people from Costa Rica, also tourists. Sometimes, you know, they're here and they want to participate. It's good. That's what I like, you know, creating alliances. You know, sometimes the nonprofit, they're, you know, trying to keep separate and keep their business. But now in this situation, they realize that together we're getting stronger, and we benefit from everyone's differences, and so we achieve better and bigger things, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was looking from the press kit that was provided, I was seeing all the comment that Dr. Jane Goodall mentioned there, that what Savage Land is doing is fantastic. It nature is music, trees have music, and this can be a great project to help the world, to make the world better for future generations as well. I think that you went to UNESCO, is that right? Where you end up meeting Jane Goodall, or?
Yeah, we were so lucky. We were invited. You know, Jane Goodall, she's probably the biggest iconic
Oh yeah.
environmentalist in the world. You know, this blonde lady with the monkeys all her life in Africa defending. She's a scientist too, you know, she's a doctor. And yeah, she was doing this speech for history in UNESCO. That's something that not everyone can do, you know. It's like big personality are invited to do that, and we were lucky to be invited and to meet her, and then we realized that we have a lot in common in our philosophy regarding nature protection, and so we decided that we should collaborate, and we signed a collaboration deal for 2 projects, one in Africa, in Burundi. We're going to create biological corridor, and another one in France. It's the wildlife reserve, the first Jane Goodall Wildlife Reserve in France. And so yeah, it's pretty exciting, and it's cool because she plays the game, you know. She did the metal sign on the picture, and she likes music, you know. It's not fake. She really thinks it's a universal language, and it's very emotional.
Yeah.
And she's really smart, and she's very accurate, and she knows that it can be a very powerful tool, you know.
Absolutely. We need to invite her to a concert one day, you know.
So what?
We need to invite her, Dr. Goodall, to a concert one day.
It could happen because the guy, the communication director at the UNESCO, we talked together, and he's open to the idea of making a concert at the UNESCO to, you know, make some noise for biodiversity. So
yeah,
it would look good, you know, some metalheads at the UNESCO. I don't think it ever happened already.
Hey, we need to make it happen, man. So
yeah,
you know, why not? I mean, all of us are helping out one way or another, you know. So
metal is a great community, you know. I think all the metalheads, they're not just listening to the music, they're not just passive consumers. I think they have a band, they organize things, they organize a concert, they have associations, and they're really the right type of people to bring in that adventure, you know.
No, absolutely. No, I completely agree with you. And I think the festival leader pledged to donate 1 million euros to the organization over the next 5 years, right? So which is substantial, you know.
Yeah, it's a good signal sent to the industry. It's like Hellfest saying, okay, they didn't have to do that, you know. I mean, they can do many things. They didn't have to go that high, and they didn't have to sign for a 5 years deal, you know. They could have done something cool just 1 year, cool donation.
Yeah.
But they're like, okay, yeah, let's try to make something a bit more symbolic, you know. And so other people can think, yeah, why not? Let's jump on board and make something that might change for real. I mean, we're not going to change the world. I'm not a dreamer, but I think we can achieve pretty big things if we get together. You know, that's exactly what we do. When the artists jump on board, do some songs with us, it's great, you know.
No, I completely agree with you. And the more that I read about what you guys doing, and the more that I want to get involved. So I will send you another email that I have some ideas to help you guys out as well. And if we can do something in Chile, absolutely. You know,
I really believe that everyone can provide an idea, a contact, You know,
exactly.
that I always tell the story. Almost 2 years ago, we started the project already, and I see on Facebook a post where a band is showing a Savage Land sign that they printed themselves, and they're asking for money, and I'm like, what the fuck, you know? I thought it was something not cool, you know, but it was completely the opposite. Those guys is a band called Red Gordon. It's a small French band, and they thought it was so cool. They wanted to be in, so they did their own crowdfunding. They asked their fans to give money for us, you know, and they collected a small amount of money. You know, I think they collected like $300. So it's not a big money, but the signal is super cool. You know, I mean, if all the bands want to do that,
Yeah,
it
no,
would change the game, you know.
no, absolutely. And since I'm involved with several musicians, I will put I will put an email together because I'm quite sure that the Stick Hackett, folks from Genesis, Peter Gabriel, many others will be able to give a hand
That's
and get
difficult.
involved. Not just donate money, not just send you a check and go
Yeah.
away, but just to get involved and help out. And
Well, if they want to send a check and go away, that's fine too. We're going to plant some
yeah.
trees anyway.
No, we'll send a check and do something as well, you know, plant the
Yeah,
tree.
exactly. Yeah,
Both
that's
are
better.
important, you know, get involved. And also a band that I've been following for a while, you know, Highland also it's working with you guys. And I
Yeah.
think they were planning on donating $1 for every ticket sold during the most recent US tour here in this year was right. So
Well, yeah, exactly. That's great that you bring this topic because that's something that can be done, I think, pretty easily. And not only in the US, but they're doing that for the European tour. And
yeah.
now Haitung is entering our orientation committee. You know, we have scientists, we have artists, and you know, to talk together about the good options that we might have to choose from. You know, and so yeah, I think Hailung accepted to I'm not sure exactly, but I think it's Hailung giving $50 and the other part, the booker or the promoter doing the other part, something like that, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not I don't think it's out of reach, and I think it's a thing that sends a good message to the audience. I think it's a better message than asking the audience to give an extra dollar. I mean,
Yeah.
I know this exists, and it can be asked also, but it's good if the artist and the promoter show that whatever happens, they already do it, you know. They don't ask you for more. They do it. If you want to do it too, that's perfect. And I think it's very positive signal.
Absolutely. Or Ticketmaster or other bands.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, if you're paying $100 for, I see where I live, I see a lot of concerts. So I'm very lucky. So you're already paying $60, $80, you know, to see a concert, to see, you know, any band in particular, right? Paying another extra dollar, whatever. And as long as they can guarantee that the extra dollar will go directly for you guys, right? It's not that the tickets master will pocket that or the promoter will pocket that or whatever. It goes directly to that particular people. Millions of people the world
But yeah, that's
would
why
be
I think,
willing
you
to
know,
do it, right? So,
if Ticketmaster says, okay, the ticket is $60. Out of this $60, we give 50 cents
yeah,
from Ticketmaster part. Then if you guys want to put an extra 50 cents, it's $1. And it's both parts, you know, that are active. And I think the audience would be very receptive to that.
What, in general, what the cost of you know, planting a tree? You have an idea? I mean, the
Yeah, yeah.
volunteers are done by local people, but just planting it, doing all the work and see the
Good question.
results in some years.
Yeah, it's a good question. It depends on the size of the tree, it depends on the area where you plant it, but it's not
Yeah,
only planting the tree because it's a bit more technical. But here in Costa Rica, we plant the trees, we put some gel in it because there is a very dry season. So if you
yeah,
don't have a gel that captures the moisture, then the tree is going to die. And so it's planting the trees with the right technique. It's a little bit more expensive, but also the
yeah.
2 first years, at least the 2 next years after planting, you have to follow up and water the trees, you know.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's a lot of work. And of course, there's other things that you need to pay. You need to pay for the structure cost and stuff. But for us, it's very, very low because we don't have permanent employees and stuff like that, because we want to be cost effective as much as we can. But I would say it's around $20
$20,
altogether.
right?
Yeah.
Everything together. Got it. Got it.
Because you could tell that, okay, some people tell you, okay, we plant 1 million trees, it's like $3 per tree. But well, first of all, it depends on which country, but it's not just planting the tree, it's make sure that it's gonna be alive, because
Growth, right? Yeah.
you can plant 2,000 trees if there's only 50 trees surviving. It's not worth the effort, So better plant less, but do it well.
Yeah, with the gel and then the water,
Yeah.
and somebody keeping an eye on the,
And it's other thing, that like when they're young, like the vines, they grow on the trees, they might suffocate the tree. So you need to go clean. Yeah, it's a responsibility. It's a job, but it's cool. Especially in tropical areas, it grows fast. So you can show really cool photos, like I can send you one actually. After when you send me an email, I will send you a photo with Chloe Trujillo planting a tree. It's like 6 months ago, and now I have the same tree with the same, not the same person, but another girl that is the same height that Chloe. And the tree it's crazy. I mean, when you see it, you're like, wow, I want to plant one too. It goes so fast.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. So, I'm very happy that I'm helping a little bit with conducting the interview because what you're doing it's great. I was looking at a little bit of the music, and I went to Spotify and I saw the Savage Land with 4 tracks there: the Army of the Trees, The Last Howl, No Remedy, and Black Rock Forest, and those are great tracks, man.
Well, thanks. And well, the album is it's not like we're a band, but we're not a band. It's a mix. There is some guidelines, but the album is probably more different songs than a regular band, because when you're a band, you need to have a strategy, you need to stick to your style. And for Savage Land, it's a bit different because there's lots of featurings and we can experiment a little bit more. And yeah, I'm looking forward for the feedback on the entire album.
Yeah, so and I saw the lineup. They're very big names, man. A lot of vocals, several guitarists, and guitar yourself, and then Dirk with drums, and it's a lot of well-known people there, man.
Yeah, we have like Alyssa Whiteglass from Arch Enemy.
Yeah,
We have Andreas Kisser. We have John Tardy and Kenny from Obituary. Actually, Kenny, you'll see him in the next video that is going to be released with the album with Alyssa. We shot it in Costa Rica. It's pretty cool. It was complex to shoot in the jungle on the rainy season.
but yeah,
Cool experience. And we have Lord of the Lost. It's a German band, very, very involved in the project. Also a bunch of French artists that showed up on the Army of the Trees song, and they were the first to support us, so it was cool to have them on board on the album. Chloe Trujillo, she's on 2 songs with us too. And I'm probably forgetting people now, but yeah, we're gonna keep writing songs even after the album, and we're gonna keep having other surprises, and that's the idea,
Yeah, I saw the video the other day, and it's the one that was on YouTube, I think, and it's great. It's very cool, man. Yeah.
Yeah, like it? Cool.
Yeah. It somehow, when I began listening to music, I don't know, 40, 50 years ago, I thought that people in metal, they are a bunch of crazy people and so forth, and doing drugs and doing stupid stuff, and it's not the case. I have met several, people that enjoy going to metal concert, and here where I live close to Washington D.C., a lot of bands come this way, a lot of them, and they're not crazy. They're good people that like different type of music. They try to help out, and you are the perfect example, so
It's again,
like a misconception that people think that
oh yeah,
metal guys are all doing drugs or I've been
well,
arrested and
some
this.
of them do.
Well, some of the in all the areas people do, stupid stuff.
No, exactly. Yeah. But I really think it's a great community, and it's well, it's misunderstood because of
Mhm.
the music is pretty intense, and so people think we are violent people and stuff. But it's quite the opposite. I think it's a very peaceful
Mhm.
community and really respectful and pretty dedicated to with values and yeah, they're true people most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know when I don't think the album has been completely released, right? Only like 4 or 5 tracks, are correct or not?
Yeah, the full album is going to be released in February.
Yeah, couple of months. Okay,
And
got it.
there's another song coming out 10th of December with Lord of the Lost, and then the main single with Alisa from Arch
Yeah,
Enemy is going to be released alongside with the album, like mid-February.
I got it. Yeah, and yeah, now I can remember the track that was the last howl. It's just the video that I saw, and
Oh,
that's
that's the
pretty good.
one with the howler monkey.
That's right. Yeah, the
Yeah, and
monkeys
Don
and,
Party.
and the monkeys and the bear there. Costa Rica is like another world altogether. I mean,
It's very different, yeah, and
it's very different, right?
it's worth being protected. But I think it's not just here, it's everywhere. I think the main thing is the biodiversity. Everyone that has a piece of land, a piece of garden, it's a big responsibility, but they should do what they can to bring biodiversity. And it comes with,
Mhm.
it starts with the insects or the whatever is there, has a purpose, it's useful. And even for us.
I got it. No, 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 absolutely. You're doing a great thing. I would try to find. I was looking the other day. I think delivered the Dr. Jane Goodall delivered the speech for history presentation. I want to see if I can find somewhere because definitely I would like to post the
Yeah.
link as the interview so people can watch it. And
Yeah. It's interesting that she's a very interesting person. She could be depressed, for all those years of fight and facing the destruction of the ecosystems. She could be depressed, but she's not at all. She's trying to see that there is, as she
mm,
says, there is a tunnel, but there might be a little light.
at the
And
end, right?
you have to focus on this light, otherwise you do nothing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Everybody, we live in crazy time with Ukraine and Russia and Israel, Palestine killing one another one way or another. And so music can music is very positive and can bring, a lot of happiness to people, and especially if you're doing uh excuse me, if you're doing what you're doing, so
Music, yeah, music can bring very different people together,
absolutely.
and that's what we need. We can't afford to select people. I mean, I don't care what's your idea of this or that, as long as you help me defending the forest. That's so important. I mean, when I mean the forest, is the biodiversity. It's not just the trees. It's
Not just the trees, of course, yeah.
yeah, the whole ecosystem, and we need to focus on that because it's the priority. I mean, once the ecosystem is dead, there's no more Russia, there's no more Ukraine, there's no more Israel, there's no more Palestine, there's nothing. So that should be the first concern of everyone.
Yeah. And what you mentioned before, the price in Costa Rica, the land and the houses were very expensive, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. But, rich people all over the world, want to retire in Costa Rica. So, of course, the price of the home, the land
Yeah.
went up a lot, So local people, the local Costa Rican, it's very hard for them to buy a house or buy land because they cannot afford that, with the income that they receive in their own country.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, you're right, but the it's not just because retired people come to Costa Rica, because actually there was this was before. This was what happened like 20 years ago. Now the thing is more like speculation. It's that people that don't even come to Costa Rica are investing into houses in order to rent them and make a profit. And this is not at all the same thing. And this is producing a bad side effect, that what you mentioned, that the prices are so high that Costa Rican themselves can't live in the same areas as foreigners, which is a nonsense, you know. And I think this is something people should be aware of. And you can always come and move to this country if you're respectful and you want to mix with the local culture and respect the country for what it is, you know. But if you want to reproduce some kind of I don't know, other place that has nothing to do with Costa Rica, and you want to bring it here and get luxury stuff and cut off the trees, and you don't want to see one ant on your terrace, then better not come, maybe.
Absolutely. How is it, in general, is it difficult to make a living as a musician? Because now with the Spotify, you need to have like 1 million hits to get a check for, I don't know, $10. Bandcamp is different because Bandcamp, 90% of the profits, actually, right, 90% go directly to the artist, and Bandcamp only take 1%. So but still, you know, as a musician, you know, fewer and fewer people in the world are buying vinyl and buying CDs. So you need to tour, you know, and it's to try to break even and make a little bit of money. So
You couldn't be more right. I see. Well, that's not my job, you know. It's just
yeah.
part of Savage Land's concept to do music, but I don't rely on that, luckily. But when I see all my professional musician friends, they have to work nonstop, you know. Like, and I'm talking big or small bands. Man, it's crazy, you know. They must really love the music, because smaller bands, they do music, they do tour, but they work on the side, you know, building stages or whatever job they can find.
Yeah.
And the bigger bands, well, I see Dirk, he's working his ass off, you know. He's very dedicated to music, but he's never off, you know. And I see what it takes, you know, as far as dedication and strength in your mind. So yeah,
No,
you're right. It's becoming difficult.
it's very difficult to make a living. And you know, feel free to mention where people, you know, mention your website and people where they can buy the album and help out. And if you want to mention that in French and in Spanish, that will be even better. So because a lot of people all over the world can listen you speak in French about, you know, the initiative and help people out and doing the right thing for the planet. It's not just donating, you know. Some people have money to donate. That people can take a week off from the job, go to Costa Rica and then help out planting the trees. You know, everybody, you know.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we're completely open. And well, if people want to support, as I said before, they can just start listening to the music, and it's already helping.
Yeah.
And if they want to buy the album, like the vinyl it's a bio vinyl, you know. So
That's great.
we don't make it with fancy colors and stuff, because with the label we decided that we want something that is a bit
Sure.
more respectful. I mean, it's a symbol, because it's not,
No,
it's not
exactly.
the vinyl industry is not going to destroy the world, you know. But yeah, it's a symbol, and people can buy the album, and of course all the money goes to the nonprofit, so it's good for them. They have a collector album, but they also
Absolutely.
provide some support. They can go to the savagelands.org website and do a donation. But they can also spread the word, you know, mention what we do on Instagram, on whatever they use as a social media. They can become Army of the Trees. You know, we are hiring people, actually. We want everyone to jump on board and say, hey, I'm part of it, you know. That's what we want. So basically, whatever you want to do is going to help. I think it's the main message. So if you want, I can say in Spanish. Entonces, en español, si quiere apoyar, y entrar con nosotros en el ejército de los árboles.
Yeah.
Eh, bueno, puede comprar el vinyl, que es un vinyl
Mm,
collector. 100% de la plata viene directamente por la organización.
mhm.
No es como hay un grupo que va a darle 10%. No, no, no. Es todo por la
Yeah,
organización Savage Lands. Y entonces sí, pueden apoyarnos cuando escucha la música, cuando compra el álbum, cuando hace una donación en el sitio savagelands.org
mhm.
y ya. Y now en French.
Yep, of course. Yeah.
Alors en français, ben voilà, si vous voulez nous soutenir, il vous suffit d'écouter la musique puisque 100% de tous les flux financiers générés par la musique vont directement à l'organisation. Vous pouvez commander le vinyle, qui est un bio-vinyle. On a voulu essayer de faire un truc un peu plus respectueux de la planète, même si ça reste un symbole. Mais en tout cas, voilà, c'est un collector et vous nous soutiendrez comme ça. Mais vous pouvez aussi tout simplement parler du projet, visiter le site internet savagelands.org. Vous pouvez faire une donation ou tout simplement en parler autour de vous et entrer de plein pied dans l'armée des arbres.
That's right. Well, thank you very much again. It was very nice talking to you. Sylvan, I will
Likewise.
send you a different email. We'll stay in touch, and very likely we'll go. I will plan a trip with my son to Costa Rica, and I will put you in contact with several musicians as well. I'm quite sure a lot of people, that I have interviewed, or people that I'm going to be working in different projects, uh, could help out. So you
Oh,
will
that's
be
great.
here for me.
That's exactly what we need. And
Yep,
just
absolutely.
in case, we'll be just before the NAM. We're going to
Yep.
spend like 10 days in LA from the 17th of January to the end of the NAM. If you go there or if you have friends going there, that's the right time to meet and build other
Yep.
project. We try to record a song there. So if you have suggestions for a VIP featuring,
Yeah. What day are the NAM? Is I think you say early,
yeah,
late.
it's 21st, January 21st. But we're going to be in studio with the open sessions with guests if they want to show up from the 17th of January.
I got you. A lot of musicians go there. It's a great.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
conference. I think it lasts like 3 or 4 days. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's like 21st to 26th, something like that.
Yeah, got it. Got
Yeah.
it.
So yeah, that's the perfect place if we want to meet and talk about the project.
You bet. Muchas gracias. Que estés muy bien. Saludos.
Muchas gracias y quedamos en contacto.
Perfecto. Saludos. Gracias.